Hello, everyone. This is Steven Carr, and this is the Lion's Den with Steven Carr. And we're going to be talking about something very critical and very critical that has been coming out. It is anti-Semitism, more specifically, Jack Posobiec's anti-Semitism is showing since the AmFest, and ever since he has become a journalist and ever since he's become a journalist and a author and a influencer in terms of the hard American right. And so we are going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about Jack Posobiec's anti-Semitism and what I have come up with and why it's so important to learn about it. Um, First of all, we are going to look at it. This we're going to look um, what was I? Action conference. He made headlines for welcoming the end of democracy and stating he was there to overthrow it completely. Later, claiming it was a joke aimed at the administration. Whether you review him as a performer or a provocateur or a practitioner of information warfare, the data shows consistent pattern, the systematic normalization of extremist rhetoric and the professionalization of disinformation in the digital age. Sources sources like the SPLC Center, once it comes up here. Um, so anyway, to while that's loading, I wanted to bring up while that's loading, I wanted to bring up the most recent one that has happened was at the Amfest a week ago, where Steve Bannon himself had called out Ben Shapiro a virus, and that just stems from more anti-Semitism and more Jewish hate. While others may think that isn't that way, we need to clearly stop with the Jewish hate and the anti-Semitism, for it is not right just to hate a person because of their ethnicity. It's the same reason why we have racism in this country. It's the same reason why we have so much hate among each other. The Jewish people were promised the land in Israel, and we must protect Israel as it is, and we must continue to do so through that matter. And it's also, if America wants to be blessed, we have to protect Israel and we have to follow Israel, because it says in Genesis 12:3 that those who bless Israel will also be blessed, um, and so will the descendants of Abraham. And so we need the land of Israel to be protected, because when Christ comes back, and promised Abraham's descendants the land of Israel, that land needs to be there. And it's also deterring witnesses, our witnesses, our witnesses to Christ by hating on Jewish people. Um, I have an aunt and I have a cousin that is Jewish, and I do not hate them and I do not disrespect them or call them out. They just don't believe in the Messiah, and they just believe in God at this time. But it doesn't mean that I hate them, and it needs to stop. The same thing with Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec. Now we'll see if it came up or not. It says justice starts with double impact. See if I can figure out. Yeah. There we go. SPCLC. It says OAN's Pacific. Posobiec met with Polish neo-fascist and amplified their message online. That's the Southern Poverty Law Center says One America News Network correspondent Jack Posobiec promoted the cause of neo-fascism in Poland. Hate Watch determined that during an investigation into his ties to white supremacy in the 2017 Posobiec amplified for his Twitter followers an event staged by the Polish neo-fascist political movement called Obos or Narodowy Radziecki. ONR has a long history of promoting and emulating Nazism, as the German Nazi movement of the 1930s rose across the border. ONR sought a cleansing of Jews in Poland. ONR members were also responsible for a waving of violence targeted at the country's Jewish population. Let's see what else is there. Then you got Mother Jones. Once it comes up, as you can see, these are most recently pictured, most recently happened at AmFest, where he took a picture with a group of his friends. Jack Posobiec took a picture with a group of his friends, and on a shirt of one of his friends, it said "Let them cook" with the Cookie Monster on it. Um, also, probably also he proudly displayed his rosary cross, which is supposed to be sacrative, um, sacred to him, instead of showing it off. It says Trump cabinet officials embrace far-right influencer who has praised fascist. In recent book, Jack Posobiec hailed Francisco Franco and Augusto Pinochet as role models of the mega right. It says last week, the Washington Post, this is Mother Jones' post, sparked a media kerfuffle when it reported that talk show host turned defense secretary Pete Hegseth had invited mega provocateur Jack Posobiec to participate in Hegseth's first overseas trip, and that this was triggering alarm among U.S. defense officials worried about the military being dragged into a partisan warfare. This article and pieces in other outlets noted that Posobiec was a 2020 election denier and promoter of conspiracy theorists who had championed Pizzagate, the bonkers idea that Democrats were running a satanic pedophile ring from the basement of a Washington, D.C. eatery. They reminded readers that last year at the conservative conference, he had proclaimed, "Welcome to the end of democracy. We are here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it." Um, and then goes on for more. So there's that for you. Um, then you have again, this says the hate watch for Twitter. It says gave free reign. Jack Posobiec published anti-Semitic hate and disinformation. There's so many others, but we got to stop here, guys, and we got to stop listening to people like Nick Fuentes, Mike Crispy, and even Jack Posobiec's anti-Semitic tropes, and Steve Bannon's horrific, horrific and horrible insults to Jewish, like the virus that he said about Ben Shapiro. Um, and we need to start opening up our Bibles and so forth. And it's that simple. And we need to and it's time that we start doing it. It's time that we respect our Israeli, our Jewish Israel friends, protect Israel, and stand up against anti-Semitism and Catholic anti-Semitism. And because back in the day, Catholics were against the Jewish people. They had Jewish hate, and um, believe it or not, Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec are both Catholics, and they both are stemming anti-Semitism hate against one another. We must stop it now, and we must stop listening to them and pick up your Bible and read what it says about about Israel, and about the Jews, and start being godly and Christ-like. It is that simple. Um, Charlie Kirk was a Christian Zionist. I'm a Christian Zionist. He was for Israel, and he visited Israel many times, and so was Erica Kirk. Um, and Erica Kirk visited Israel too. And so yeah, it's that time. It's time that we stand up for what Christians stand up for, what we believe in, and start reading about it. Well, that is all I have for you today. You can follow me on Rumble on the Lion's Den with Steven Carr. You can follow me on True Social as Real Steven Carr, and X on Real Steven Carr. I will, at the end of this month, I should be having on a very special guest, and that will be Nick Shields, the York County Young Republicans chair, who's also running for, who will be running for the York County Republican Committee chairman. Nick is going to come on and give his report of the 2025 election, 2025 election report and demographics, and what we can do to get involved and take back Pennsylvania and York County. Well, thank you for your time.